The morning sun shone through the tall windows of the Galactic Academy classroom. Professor Zixathala walked into the room on her four thin legs. Her purple skin glowed softly in the light. She carried a stack of papers in two of her four arms. The students were already sitting at their desks. Each student looked very different from the others. This was normal at the academy, where young beings from across the galaxy came to learn. Pipsqueak sat in the front row. She was only 3 feet tall and covered in soft pink fur. Her big round eyes blinked slowly as she waited for class to start. Next to her sat Gentros, whose body was made of clear crystal that sparkled when light hit it. Behind them, Aquila moved her tentacles gently through the air. She was from a water world and needed to keep her skin wet at all times. The special suit she wore made quiet, bubbling sounds. In the back corner, Marcus Chen sat quietly. He was the only human in the class. The other students often stared at him. His pale skin and brown hair looked strange to them, but he was always polite and worked hard on his assignments. Professor Zixathala placed her papers on the desk and smiled. When she smiled, all four of her eyes crinkled at the corners. "Good morning, students," she said in her soft voice. "Today I have something special for you, a new project that will help us understand each other better." The students leaned forward. They loved new projects, especially the ones that taught them about different worlds and cultures. "This semester, you will each present your species' most loved companion animal," the professor explained. "You will show us the creature that your people keep as friends and family members." Excited whispers filled the room. Pipsqueak's ears perked up and twitched with joy. Gentros made a pleasant chiming sound, which was how his people showed happiness. "This will help us learn about friendship between different species," Professor Zixathala continued. "We will see how each of your worlds has learned to live with and love other creatures." Marcus wrote notes in his notebook. His handwriting was neat and careful. He did not make any sounds or show much expression on his face. This was normal for him, but it sometimes puzzled the other students. "I want you to think about what makes these animals special," the professor said. "Why do your people choose to share their homes with them? What do they give to your families? How do they make life better?" She walked around the room, looking at each student with her kind eyes. "You will bring your companion animal to class in 2 weeks. You will tell us about their care, their habits, and their role in your society. This will be a wonderful way to share the beauty of interspecies friendship." The students began to talk among themselves about their presentations. Pipsqueak turned to her friend Zentara, who had blue skin and silver spots. "I will bring a cloud kitten," she said in her squeaky voice. "They are so soft and fluffy. They float around our houses and purr like tiny storms." "How lovely," Zentara replied. "My family keeps harmony birds. They sing the most beautiful songs and their feathers change color with the music." Across the room, Aquila spoke to her neighbor through her translation device. "My people have bubblefish," she said. "They live in our home pools and make rainbow patterns when they swim. Very peaceful and pretty." Gentros chimed softly to the student next to him. "Crystal worms," he explained. "They eat old rocks and make new crystals grow in our gardens. Very helpful, and they glow at night." All around the room, students talked about cute, small, gentle creatures. They spoke of animals that helped with simple tasks or provided comfort and beauty. Their companion animals were all harmless and sweet. Professor Zixathala listened to the conversations with pleasure. She had taught this class many times before. Each year, the students brought the most adorable creatures from their home worlds. It was always one of her favorite projects. "I can see you are all very excited," she said, getting the class's attention again. "Remember, you have 2 weeks to prepare. Make sure your companion animal will be comfortable traveling to school. We have special rooms if they need specific air or water." Marcus raised his hand. The professor nodded to him. Will we need much space for the presentations? He asked in his quiet voice. The classroom should be fine for most presentations, Professor Zixthala answered. If you need more room, we can use the larger study hall next door. Marcus nodded and wrote something in his notebook. He seemed to be thinking about something, but he did not ask any more questions. Any other questions? The professor asked. Pipsqueak raised her small, furry hand. Should we bring food for our animals, in case they get hungry? Good thinking, the professor said. Yes. Bring anything they might need to be comfortable. We want them to feel safe and happy while they visit us. As the class period ended, the students gathered their belongings and chatted excitedly about their upcoming presentations. They could hardly wait to see all the wonderful companion animals from different worlds. Marcus packed his notebook carefully and walked toward the door. Pipsqueak caught up to him in the hallway. What kind of animal will you bring, Marcus? She asked, looking up at him with her big pink eyes. Marcus paused for a moment. A friend of my family, he said simply. She has been with us for several years. Oh, how nice, Pipsqueak said. I bet she is very sweet, like all companion animals. Marcus smiled a little. She is very loyal, he said. Then he walked away down the hallway. Pipsqueak watched him go, wondering what kind of cute creature humans kept as pets. She imagined it would be something fluffy and small, just like all the others. She skipped down the hall, already planning her presentation about cloud kittens. This was going to be the best project ever. 2 weeks passed quickly at the Galactic Academy. The day of the companion animal presentations had finally arrived. Professor Zixthala arranged the classroom with extra space in the center. The students sat in a circle, each with a carrier or container holding their special friend. The excitement in the room was easy to feel. Everyone wanted to see the wonderful creatures from different worlds. The professor smiled as she looked around at all the happy faces. Today will be a beautiful day of learning and sharing, she announced. Let us begin with Pipsqueak. The small pink student stood up and carefully opened her floating carrier. A tiny creature drifted out, no bigger than a softball. It looked like a small cloud with the softest fur imaginable. Its fur was pure white with hints of silver that sparkled in the light. This is Puffy, Pipsqueak said proudly. Cloud kittens live in the upper atmosphere of my home planet. They float using special air sacs in their bodies. They eat tiny particles of dust and moisture from the clouds. Puffy drifted gently around the room, making soft purring sounds like distant thunder. When students reached out their hands, the cloud kitten nuzzled their fingers with its impossibly soft fur. They bond with families by sharing warmth, Pipsqueak explained. At night, they curl up on our pillows, and their purring helps us sleep. They live for about 50 years and never cause any trouble. The class made happy sounds of approval. Puffy was absolutely adorable. Professor Zixthala made notes about the gentle nature of the creature. Next, Zentara opened her crystal container. 3 small bird-like creatures flew out in perfect formation. Their feathers shifted from blue to green to purple as they moved through the air. Harmony birds, Zentara said with pride. They communicate through color changes and musical notes. Listen. The 3 birds began to sing together. Their voices created the most beautiful music the students had ever heard. The melody was soft and peaceful, making everyone feel calm and happy. They help my people by singing away bad dreams, Zentara explained. They also warn us about storms by changing their song. They eat flower nectar and tiny insects, very gentle and helpful. The birds landed on Zentara's shoulders, still humming quietly. Their feathers now glowed with a warm golden light. Aquila's presentation was next. She opened a water-filled container, and several fish-like creatures swam out into a portable pool she had set up. The creatures were transparent like bubbles, with rainbow patterns flowing through their bodies. "Bubblefish from my home world," Aquila said through her translator. "They live in our house pools and create beautiful light shows. Watch this." Aquila made a gentle sound, and the bubblefish began to swim in patterns. As they moved, their bodies created swirling rainbows of color in the water. It was like watching liquid jewels dance. "They eat algae and keep our water clean," Aquila explained. "They also help sick fish get better by sharing healing proteins through their skin. My grandmother says they can live for over 100 years. Gentros was next. He carefully removed a small rock from his carrier. At first, the other students were confused. Then, tiny worm-like creatures began to crawl out from holes in the rock. "Crystal worms," Gentros chimed proudly. "They may look simple, but they are very important to my people." The worms were only a few inches long and seemed to be made of living crystal. They moved slowly across Gentros's hands, leaving trails of tiny sparkling gems. "They eat old broken crystals and create new ones," he explained. "The new crystals are stronger and more beautiful. They also help our buildings grow by adding crystal layers each year." One of the crystal worms began to glow softly. Others around the room started to glow in response, creating a gentle light show. "They are very peaceful," Gentros continued. "They never bite or hurt anyone. They just slowly make our world more beautiful, one crystal at a time." More presentations followed, each showing creatures more adorable than the last. There were singing flowers that danced to music, tiny dragons that breathed glittering dust instead of fire, and fuzzy moth creatures that could predict the weather by the way they flew. Every animal was small, gentle, and helpful in some sweet way. They all seemed designed to bring comfort and joy to their families. The students cooed and sighed over each presentation. Professor Zixathala was very pleased with what she saw. This was exactly what she expected from civilized species. Companion animals were clearly meant to be harmless, beautiful creatures that provided emotional support and simple assistance. "I notice a clear pattern in all your presentations," she said thoughtfully. "All companion animals seem to be herbivores, or creatures that eat very small things. They are all peaceful and pose no danger to their families or others. This must be a universal truth about the bond between intelligent species and their companion animals." The students nodded in agreement. It made perfect sense. Why would anyone want a dangerous animal as a friend? As the presentations continued, everyone began to look forward to Marcus's turn. The human sat quietly in his seat, occasionally writing notes but not showing much emotion. His carrier was larger than most of the others, but not enormous. "What do you think Marcus will show us?" Pipsqueak whispered to her friend. "Probably something fluffy and cute like all the others," Zentara whispered back. "Maybe it is bigger, because humans are bigger than us." "I heard that human worlds have lots of different creatures," Aquila added softly. "I bet it will be something really beautiful." When it was almost Marcus's turn, he stood up and cleared his throat. "Professor, I will need to use the gymnasium for my presentation," he said politely. "My companion needs more space to move around safely." The class got excited. A bigger companion animal meant more adorable features to see and appreciate. They imagined something like a large version of the cloud kittens, perhaps big enough to ride on. "Of course," Professor Zixthala agreed happily. "Class, let us move to the gymnasium. How wonderful that we will see a larger companion animal today." As they gathered their things and prepared to move, the students chatted excitedly about what Marcus might show them. They expected something magnificent, beautiful, and gentle, just bigger than what they had seen so far. None of them could imagine what was actually waiting for them in the gymnasium. The class walked together toward the gymnasium, chattering with excitement. Their small companion animals came with them in carriers, still glowing and singing and floating peacefully. The students could not wait to see what wonderful creature Marcus would show them. When they entered the large gymnasium, they found Marcus standing next to a metal container that was much bigger than any of the carriers they had seen. It was about the size of a small room and had thick walls with air holes near the top. "Oh my," Professor Zixthala said, looking at the large container. "Your companion must be quite substantial, Marcus. How exciting." The students arranged themselves in a safe semicircle, just like they had been taught for presentations. Pipsqueak bounced on her toes with anticipation. Gentros chimed softly with curiosity. Even quiet Aquila moved her tentacles with interest. Marcus stood calmly beside the container. He did not seem nervous or excited like the other students had been. His face was relaxed, almost happy. "Before I begin, I want to tell you about my companion," Marcus said in his steady voice. "Her name is Luna. She has been part of my family for 3 years. She comes from my home planet, Earth." The students leaned forward, eager to hear more. "Luna is a gray wolf. Her scientific name is Canis lupus. She weighs about 110 pounds and is fully grown." Some of the students blinked in confusion. They did not know what a wolf was, but 110 pounds seemed very heavy for a companion animal. "Wolves are pack animals," Marcus continued. "They live in family groups and work together. They are very intelligent and loyal. Luna has learned to consider my human family as her pack." Professor Zixthala made notes, but she was starting to feel a small worry in the back of her mind. Something about Marcus's calm tone made her nervous. "Now I will introduce you to Luna," Marcus said. He reached for the lock on the container. The students held their breath with excitement. Finally, they would see this large companion animal from Earth. Marcus opened the heavy door. What came out of the container was like nothing any of the aliens had ever seen, called a companion animal. Luna stepped into the gymnasium and the entire room fell completely silent. She was enormous compared to the tiny, fluffy creatures they had just seen. Her body was long and muscular, built for power and speed. Her legs were strong and ended in large paws with dark claws that clicked on the floor as she moved. Her fur was thick and gray with darker patches along her back. Her ears stood tall and sharp, constantly moving to catch every sound in the room. But it was her eyes that made the students' hearts race with fear. Luna's eyes were bright yellow, like small suns. They were the eyes of a hunter. When she looked around the room, her gaze was sharp and focused. She was clearly studying each alien student, deciding if they were a threat or prey. Her mouth opened slightly as she panted, showing rows of white teeth that were long and pointed. Her canine teeth were especially large and looked like they could tear through metal. Every movement Luna made was graceful but dangerous. She walked like something that was designed to chase down and kill other animals. Her head was low, her shoulders moved with power, and her tail was alert. Several students made small, frightened sounds. Pipsqueak's pink fur stood straight up all over her body. Gentros stopped chiming, and his crystal body went dark. Aquila quickly backed up until she hit the gymnasium wall. Professor Zixthala felt her 4 hearts beating much too fast. Her training told her to activate the emergency protocols, but she was too shocked to move. Luna was clearly a predator. Not just any predator, but an apex predator. A creature built to hunt and kill. And Marcus had brought her to school and called her a companion animal. But the most shocking thing of all was how Marcus acted around this dangerous creature. He smiled when he saw her and reached out to touch her head. "Good girl, Luna," he said in a gentle voice. "These are my friends from school." Luna's tail wagged slightly when Marcus spoke to her. She pressed her large head against his hand and made a soft sound that was almost like the purring of the cloud kittens, but deeper and more powerful. Marcus scratched behind her ears, right between those sharp, alert ears that could hear a mouse move from a mile away. Luna's yellow eyes half closed with pleasure. "She is beautiful, isn't she?" Marcus said proudly, looking around at the terrified faces of his classmates. The alien stared at him in complete shock. Did this human not understand that he was touching a killing machine? Could he not see the teeth, the claws, the predator's eyes? Luna suddenly lifted her head and looked directly at Pipsqueak. The small alien student made a tiny squeaking sound and fainted, falling backward onto the soft gymnasium mats. Marcus looked concerned and started to walk toward Pipsqueak, and Luna walked beside him. Every step the wolf took made her muscles move under her fur like a perfectly designed killing machine. "Oh no, is she okay?" Marcus asked, kneeling down next to the unconscious Pipsqueak. Luna sat beside him and tilted her head, looking down at the small pink alien with what might have been curiosity. The other students backed away even further. Here was this massive predator, now positioned right next to their smallest, most defenseless classmate, and Marcus seemed to think this was normal. Professor Zixathala finally found her voice, though it came out as a whisper. "Marcus," she said carefully, "that creature, that is not what we expected from a companion animal presentation." Marcus looked up from checking on Pipsqueak, genuinely confused by the professor's tone. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Luna is a wonderful companion. She is loyal, protective, and very good with children. My little sister loves her." He said this while sitting next to a creature that the aliens now realized could probably kill everyone in the gymnasium without much effort. The students looked at each other with wide, frightened eyes. What kind of species were humans that they invited apex predators into their homes and called them family? Marcus gently shook Pipsqueak's shoulder until the small alien woke up. Her big pink eyes opened and immediately focused on Luna, who was sitting calmly beside Marcus. Pipsqueak made a small whimpering sound, but did not faint again. "She'll be okay," Marcus said cheerfully. "Luna has that effect on people sometimes. Let me continue my presentation so you can understand her better." Professor Zixathala wanted to stop the presentation and evacuate the gymnasium, but her scientific curiosity was stronger than her fear. She needed to understand what she was seeing. Marcus stood up and Luna rose beside him. The wolf was almost as tall as Marcus's waist, and her head came up to his chest. "Gray wolves like Luna are apex predators," Marcus began, as if he was discussing something as harmless as Pipsqueak's cloud kitten. "That means they are at the top of the food chain in their environment." The alien students exchanged terrified glances. Apex predator. The word sent chills through their bodies. "Luna's jaw can bite with a force of about 1,500 pounds per square inch," Marcus continued proudly. "That's strong enough to crush the bones of large animals." To demonstrate, Marcus pulled out a thick stick from his bag. It was as thick as his arm. He held it out to Luna, who gently took it in her mouth. Then, with barely any effort, she bit down. The stick snapped in half with a loud crack that echoed through the gymnasium. Several students gasped. Zentara's harmony birds stopped singing and hid their heads under their wings. "Good girl," Marcus said, patting Luna's head. She dropped the broken stick pieces and wagged her tail, pleased with the praise. "Her sense of smell is incredible, too," Marcus went on. "She can track a scent across many miles, even if it's several days old. Her hearing can pick up sounds that are far beyond what humans can hear." As if to prove his point, Luna's ears suddenly perked up and turned toward the gymnasium doors. A few seconds later, the students heard footsteps in the hallway, someone walking past who was still too far away for the aliens to have noticed. "She always knows when someone is coming," Marcus said with a smile. Professor Zixathala's scientific mind was working despite her fear. "Marcus," she said carefully, "how do wolves hunt in the wild?" "Oh, they're amazing hunters," Marcus replied enthusiastically. "They work together in packs to take down prey much larger than themselves. They can chase animals for miles without getting tired. They're incredibly smart about it, too. They plan attacks, set traps, and work as a perfect team." Marcus began to walk around the gymnasium with Luna beside him. The aliens watched in horror as the massive predator moved with silent grace, her paws making almost no sound on the floor. "They're also very territorial," Marcus added. "A wolf pack will defend their territory from other predators. They're not afraid of bears, big cats, or any other dangerous animals." Aquila's translator made a nervous bubbling sound before she asked, What do they eat?" Marcus paused, as if the question surprised him. "Well, in the wild they hunt deer, elk, moose, sometimes smaller animals like rabbits. They need a lot of meat because they're so active." The word meat made every alien in the room realize something terrible. This creature was designed to kill and eat other living animals. It was a carnivore, something that existed by ending other lives. Most of the alien species were herbivores or ate very small, simple life forms. The idea of an animal that hunted and killed large, intelligent creatures was beyond their understanding. "But don't worry," Marcus added quickly, seeing their shocked expressions. "Luna doesn't hunt anymore. We feed her special food made just for domestic dogs and wolves." "Domestic?" Professor Zixathala repeated weakly. "Oh, yes," Marcus said proudly. "Humans have been domesticating wolves for thousands of years. We've bred them into hundreds of different types. Some are even bigger than Luna." The aliens tried to process this information. Humans had not just encountered these apex predators. They had deliberately bred them. They had created even more dangerous versions. "My family has 3 dogs at home," Marcus continued. "Luna, a German Shepherd named Rex, and a Rottweiler named Bear. Rex weighs about 90 pounds, and Bear weighs 130 pounds. 3 of them. This human family lived with 3 apex predators." Marcus reached into his bag and pulled out a rope toy. "Let me show you how gentle Luna can be," he said. He held one end of the rope and offered the other end to Luna. She grabbed it carefully in her massive jaws, and they began to play tug-of-war. The aliens watched in amazement as Luna pulled against Marcus with enough force to drag him across the floor, but she never bit down harder than necessary. She could have crushed the rope instantly, but instead she played gently, careful not to hurt her human companion. "This is called bite inhibition," Marcus explained while being pulled around the gymnasium. "Wolves learn as puppies to control their bite force. Luna could crush my hand in her jaws, but she's learned to be gentle with humans, especially children." Professor Zixathala found her voice again. "Children? My little sister Emma loves Luna," Marcus said, letting go of the rope. Luna immediately brought it back to him, dropping it at his feet. Luna sleeps in Emma's room and follows her around the house. She's very protective. The image of a 5-year-old human child playing with this killing machine was almost too much for the aliens to comprehend. "Has she ever attacked a human?" Professor Zixathala asked, afraid of the answer. Marcus looked genuinely confused. "Attacked? No, never. Luna would die before she hurt any member of our family. That's what makes dogs so special. Their loyalty is absolute." He knelt down, and Luna immediately came to his side, pressing against him affectionately. "Although," Marcus added thoughtfully, "there was that time a black bear wandered into our camping area. Luna chased it away to protect us." "What's a black bear?" Gentros asked in a small chime. Marcus pulled out his phone and showed them a picture. The aliens stared at the image of a massive, dark creature with huge claws and teeth. "They're about twice Luna's size and very dangerous to humans," Marcus explained. "But Luna didn't hesitate to chase it away from our family." The alien students realized they were looking at a creature that actively fought other apex predators to protect its human family. This was not just a predator. This was a predator that had chosen to use its deadly skills to guard humans. Marcus looked around at all the frightened faces and seemed to finally notice their fear. "Are you all okay?" he asked with concern. Luna isn't dangerous to friends. She can tell that you're important to me, so she would never hurt you." As if to prove his point, Luna walked slowly toward Pipsqueak, who was still sitting on the floor. The small alien froze in terror as the massive predator approached. Luna gently sniffed around Pipsqueak, then lay down beside her and rested her large head near the tiny alien's feet. Her tail wagged slowly against the floor. "See?" Marcus said with a smile. "She likes you." The alien stared in wonder and fear. This apex predator, this killing machine, was choosing to be gentle with them because her human companion cared about them. What kind of species were humans that they could earn such loyalty from the galaxy's most dangerous creatures? The gymnasium stayed quiet for a long moment. The only sounds were Luna's gentle panting and the soft whir of Aquila's breathing apparatus. All the alien students stared at the wolf lying peacefully next to tiny Pipsqueak. Professor Zixathala slowly walked closer, her forearms trembling slightly. Her scientific mind was trying to understand what she was witnessing. "Marcus," she said carefully, "can you explain the relationship between humans and wolves? How did this partnership begin?" Marcus sat down on the floor next to Luna, who immediately rolled over to show her belly. This surprised the aliens even more. Predators showing their vulnerable spots was a sign of complete trust. "It started thousands of years ago," Marcus began, scratching Luna's belly. "Early humans and wolves realized they could help each other. Wolves are pack animals, just like humans are social creatures. We both hunt together, protect our families, and take care of our young as a group." He paused to think about how to explain it better. "Wolves started following human hunting parties because we left food scraps. Humans realized that wolves could help us hunt better and warn us about dangers. Over time, the wolves who were friendliest to humans had more puppies, and those puppies were even friendlier." Marcus pulled a treat from his pocket and gave it to Luna. She took it gently from his fingers, being careful not to touch his skin with her teeth. Eventually, wolves became dogs, but they kept all their natural abilities, their strength, their loyalty, their protective instincts. They just learned to use those abilities to help humans instead of competing with us. Zentara slowly approached, her harmony birds still hiding their heads. "But why would humans want such dangerous companions? Why not choose safer animals?" Marcus looked genuinely puzzled by the question. "Dangerous? Luna isn't dangerous to us. She's family, and her strength is exactly why she's so valuable." He stood up and pulled a small device from his pocket. He pressed a button, and it made a loud alarm sound. Instantly, Luna was on her feet, alert and ready. Her ears were forward, her body tense, and her yellow eyes scanned the room for threats. "Guard," Marcus said quietly. Luna immediately moved between Marcus and the alien students. She didn't growl or show aggression, but her message was clear. She would allow no harm to come to her human. "It's okay, girl. Stand down," Marcus said gently. Luna relaxed immediately and returned to his side, tail wagging. The aliens finally understood. Humans didn't domesticate wolves despite their danger. They domesticated them because of it. They had turned apex predators into personal guardians. "This is why humans are so fearless in the galaxy," Professor Zixathala said, more to herself than to Marcus. "You don't just survive alongside dangerous creatures. You make them into allies." Marcus smiled. "Luna would die to protect any member of my family, but more than that, she wants to protect us. It makes her happy to take care of us, just like it makes us happy to take care of her." Pipsqueak, who had been quietly watching Luna's gentle behavior, slowly reached out a small, furry hand. Luna sniffed her fingers carefully, then gave them a gentle lick with her large pink tongue. She's warm," Pipsqueak whispered in amazement. "And soft." Marcus nodded. "Wolves are very affectionate with their pack members. She's accepting you as part of our group because you're my friend." Other students began to cautiously approach. Luna remained calm, allowing each alien to touch her fur or examine her more closely. She seemed to understand that these strange creatures were important to Marcus. Gentros extended a crystal appendage toward Luna's nose. She sniffed it curiously, her enhanced senses clearly detecting something interesting about his mineral composition. But she made no aggressive moves. This explains so much about human behavior in galactic politics, Professor Zix Thala said thoughtfully. Humans form alliances with species that other civilizations fear. You seek out partnerships with dangerous entities because you understand that strength can be redirected through loyalty. Marcus looked confused again. We just make friends with beings we respect and trust. Luna is strong and smart. Those are good qualities in a friend. Aquila approached with her translation device humming. Do all human families have predator companions? Many do, Marcus replied. Dogs are very common on Earth. Some families have cats, which are smaller predators. Some keep birds of prey, or even reptiles that could be dangerous. We've learned that almost any animal can become a companion if you treat them with respect and understanding. The alien students exchanged glances. Their companion animals were chosen for their harmlessness and beauty. Humans chose companions for their capabilities and character, regardless of danger. Professor Zix Thala made notes rapidly. This represents a completely different philosophy of interspecies relationships. Most civilizations seek to minimize risk in their companion choices. Humans seem to seek maximum benefit, even if it involves greater risk. I guess we just trust each other, Marcus said simply. Luna trusts that I'll feed her, protect her, and never abandon her. I trust that she'll be loyal, brave, and use her abilities to help our family rather than harm us. As if summoned by their conversation, Luna walked over to Pipsqueak's carrier, where her cloud kitten was floating nervously. The tiny creature had been hiding during the entire presentation. Everyone held their breath as the massive predator approached the delicate, harmless pet. Luna sniffed gently around the carrier, then sat down and simply watched the cloud kitten with calm interest. She's curious about your pet, Marcus explained. But she won't hurt it because she knows it belongs to you, and you're my friend. The cloud kitten slowly drifted closer to the carrier walls, studying the wolf. After a moment, it made a soft purring sound. Luna's tail wagged slightly in response. They're communicating? Pipsqueak asked in wonder. Animals are smart, Marcus said. They can usually tell when another animal means no harm. As the presentation wound down, Marcus called Luna to his side and began leading her back toward the container. Wait, Professor Zix Thala called out. One more question. Do you ever feel afraid of Luna? Do you ever worry that her predatory nature might overcome her training? Marcus paused at the container door, considering the question seriously. I trust Luna more than I trust most people, he said finally. Her loyalty isn't just training, it's genuine love. She's chosen to be part of our family, and that choice is renewed every day. He looked around at all the alien faces watching him. I think that's what makes the human-dog bond special. It's not about one species controlling another. It's about two different kinds of beings choosing to be stronger together than either could be alone. Luna walked calmly back into her container, and Marcus secured the door. The aliens watched this apex predator willingly return to captivity because her human companion asked her to. As the class prepared to return to their regular classroom, the students were quiet and thoughtful. They looked at their own gentle companion animals with new understanding. They had always chosen pets that were safe, beautiful, and simple. But humans chose companions that could be dangerous, powerful, and complex. And somehow, through trust and respect, humans had gained allies that would fight the galaxy's most dangerous creatures to protect them. Professor Zix Thala updated her notes one final time. Human definition of companion species. Any creature capable of loyalty, regardless of inherent danger. Note, this may explain human success in galactic diplomacy with traditionally hostile species. Further research needed into human bonding psychology and risk assessment capabilities. As Marcus walked past with Luna's container, Pipsqueak called out to him. "Marcus, thank you for showing us Luna. She's amazing." Marcus smiled his quiet smile. "She'll be happy to hear that. She likes making new friends." The aliens watched him go, finally understanding that humans didn't just survive in a dangerous galaxy. They thrived in it by turning dangers into friends, predators into family, and strength into loyalty. In the corridor, Luna's container made a soft sound, the wolf settling down for her journey home, content in the knowledge that her human pack was safe and that she had done her job well. The other students gathered their harmless, beautiful pets and followed, each wondering what it would be like to have a companion that could challenge the universe itself, if only they were brave enough to earn its trust.